there's a
I mean,
shortage of accountants, man. You know why I got into this industry?
why is that?
So in college, so when I was in fourth grade, actually, we
Oh,
had
wow.
career day in school, yeah, and I dressed up as a businessman. My mom gave me a briefcase, drew me on a fake mustache, put on my church suit, and I had my penny loafers on. No penny in it, I didn't have money like that, and and next thing you know, I grew up still with that same mindset. In middle school, I knew I wanted to be a businessman, so I took typing class, I took computer class. In high school, I knew I wanted to be a business. I took business classes. In college, I'm like, all right, you got to declare majors. Boom, businessman. And so I'm like, okay, well, what do I choose? A lot of people were general business majors. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. And first I was saying general business my freshman year. Then I was like, what else? Like, why would I go general? I might as well go specific and niche down, and I can always go
Yeah.
general if I need to. But like general, what is that going to give me? So I started doing some research, and I started going to the want ads, to the job postings, and it said it's a ton of jobs for accountants. And then I found out there was a shortage of accountants at that time while I was in college, and even more so, I had just read this book called The Millionaire Next Door, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah, I've read it and listened to the audiobook just like a couple months ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was saying that book was written in 2000s, like either 1999 or 2000s, and it was like 20 years from now. Most baby boomers, they say, hey, companies who marketed to baby boomers tend to blew up because baby boomers was the biggest surge of
Yeah.
new population. So if you marketed to baby boomers, then you're going to become, you're going to do well. So I'm looking at it, it says, hey, most baby boomers are retiring by this age. So they're like, if you're an accountant or you're an estate planner, attorney, you're about to, like, the floodgates are going to open up because as this new transition of wealth starts happening, you're going to be right poised to do that. And even now, the shortage of accountants is even bigger. And matter of fact, they started to roll accounting into the STEM category because accounting now
Oh,
is all technologies. It's not
yeah, true.
nobody's manually doing anything. And so STEM is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and accounting now. So it's going to be STEAM very soon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good acronym.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, I'm excited. I think that's good for the industry that we're trying to groom this next generation, but at the same token, it's an opportunity, like you say, because most
Yeah.
accountants, are retiring, and even in the pandemic, a lot of people's accountants were passing away because they were older.
Yeah. I mean, all the years I've known you, this is the first time I heard this story about about how you
Really,
became an accountant. Yeah, I don't know why it never even came up before that we discussed it. So
you're
that's
right.
good to know.
You're right. You're right. That's it.
Yeah,
Tell
my
me your story. How'd you get into IT?
yeah, and so mine is not so glorious. So so when I was in Austin, uh, actually, actually, it goes back a little further. So when I was in the army, I got injured, and I no longer could do my duties as a combat engineer.
Mm,
So they assigned me to headquarters, where those all the office working people, because
right.
you know
Pencil jockey.
what do you call them? Pencil jockey?
Yeah, yeah. Is that what they call it, or what they call it in the army?
I don't even know what they call them. It doesn't come to mind. But uh, when when I was a combat engineer, um, 8 months out the year, I spent living outside,
Hmm.
like outside working in the in fields and tanks and mine fields and all that kind of
Wow.
stuff. And when I would come back, I would always see the people that worked in the office. Like, oh man, they're nice and clean. and air conditioned. They could
Seriously.
go home and go straight to dinner. Like I would have to
Mm.
go and like detox from all
Yeah.
the oil
Keep up.
and dirt that's all over me, and then I'd be completely exhausted. I would just fall asleep. I was like, man, I want to work in the office, and so it's kind of like I attracted that to myself. Anyway, I got injured, ended up working in the headquarters, and
Mm.
I kept getting assigned to like details with Camo. Camo is like communications, so they set up all these computers and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I learned networking and switches and, working with computers and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And I was like, I can do this. Like, I picked it up really quickly. And I started taking some computer classes. And I was like, I don't even have a computer. And it just, you know, I'm saying this stuff in my mind. And then this door-to-door salesman comes by and sells me a computer.
Oh wow.
Like, it's crazy, like how it all just kind of came into fruition with just a thought initially.
Yeah. Well,
And
you're right though. You got to put this stuff out there if you want. That's a good point, Hillman, because if you want something in this world, put it out there. Start
yeah,
speaking out because you'd be surprised. I'm a person of faith, and I know you are too. But and ultimately, it's like I do believe death and life is in the power of the tongue, and I believe
yeah,
we have a creator for this universe, and there's certain universal laws. But when you put something out there into the universe, I'll say, um, you know, things start to come
yeah.
together to work for you.
Law of attraction type deal.
Yeah, no, for
And
real, bro.
it's not specifically just the law of attraction. It's kind of like as a good example, like when you buy a car, uh, you never noticed that car on the road before. But when you
Right.
own the car, now you're like, oh, I see it there. I see it there. It's like once the thought comes, you then can recognize the opportunity when it presents itself. Because if I did not have the thought of looking for a computer, that salesman still would have came, but the thought wouldn't
Mm.
associate it with the opportunity, so I wouldn't have got it.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
yeah, you first get the thought, and then the planning and everything, and the opportunity presents itself because now you're
right.
looking for it.
That's
And
true.
so, anyway, that's how I ended up with a computer, and that computer was a piece of crap, and it broke all the time. This is in the AOL days,
Oh,
dial up,
oh shoot.
and I took it apart and assembled it back together so many times, ordering parts, adding things to it. Uh, that it came a point in time much further down the road, years down the road, where someone needed some help with something, and uh, I've done stuff for free, but this is when I first started getting paid for something. Like when someone paid me to fix their computer.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, I made more than I did working all day at a job
Oh wow.
on something that I enjoyed doing.
Enjoy doing.
And I was like, I can do this, but like, how am I going to find enough work?
Hmm.
Like, I can't, I can't find enough people to need this. And my mindset at that point in time was only thinking on a residential level because I wasn't at a professional level yet. And
Mm.
so I started taking computer classes. I got a job at a clinical research company
Yeah.
that uh, they had a vacancy. Um, I wasn't working in IT then, but they had a vacancy for an IT role. And I told them I'll absorb that role into my current role, just increase my pay. I just really wanted the professional position, the title. And so once I got the title, I held it for 1 or 2 years and then used that to get another job specifically in
Right.
that role. And
Huh.
then I kept staying in that role, and then I started acquiring clients on the side so that I can start my own company.
That's
Yeah.
good, man.
A-
Actually, I
And
never knew that story.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Like, we never, yeah, when I was working in my first IT role when I met you. Yeah,
Mm,
my first explicit IT role when I met you.
nice.
And I had only been in it for a few months, so
Oh, wow. Man, look at that. I mean, you never know how things work. I mean, first it started with an intention, and then you sought to take action. I mean, but I think it also, you knew what you wanted. You knew you wanted to get out of the heat and into the
yeah,
office. You're like, how can I do that? And computers were something you love. So since your computer was breaking, it got you experience with fixing computers. Look at how things work, though.